Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive.
You know how we do it here?
Yeah.
We take something that seems pretty simple at first glance, and
Uh-huh.
we uncover a bunch of complexity that you might not expect. And
What?
today we're going to be looking at water.
Yeah.
But here's the twist. We're going to be using a Spanish language educational video as our guide.
Wow.
It's called La Importancia del Agua en el Planeta.
Interesting.
And it's from a YouTube channel called Dito do Curioso.
I see.
So, it just goes to show you can find these fascinating insights in the most unexpected places.
For sure. For sure.
And I think we all kind of take water for granted,
Yeah.
It's everywhere, it's essential for life,
Right.
but we don't really stop to think about it all that much.
Yeah, I agree.
So right off the bat, this video talks about how abundant water is on Earth
Yeah.
and how it exists in liquid, solid, and gas form.
Right.
We all know this, right?
Of course. Yeah.
But I never really thought about what a unique characteristic that is for a substance.
It is pretty remarkable when you think about it.
Yeah.
The reason we see water in all these different states is because of the water cycle.
Right.
It's constantly evaporating, condensing, and precipitating.
Yeah.
And that movement, that constant changing of states, it's not just about distributing water across the planet. It also plays a big role in regulating Earth's temperature.
Wow, that's something I hadn't really considered.
It's true. Imagine if water could only exist as a liquid. The planet would be a very different place.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
And, all this abundance of water is obviously tied to life itself.
Absolutely.
This video, it says that living things are made up of around 70% water.
Yeah, that's about right.
I mean, we've all heard that before, right? But it's still pretty mind-blowing.
It is.
When you think about it, like a melon is 98% water,
Wow.
and a jellyfish is something like 95%?
It's incredible, isn't it?
It is.
And, those big differences in water content between different species, it actually tells us a lot about how they've evolved.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like a jellyfish living in the ocean, it makes sense that it would have such high water content.
Yeah, I guess so.
But then you look at something like a cactus in the desert.
Right.
It has to conserve every drop, so its water content is much lower.
That makes sense.
Yeah, their environment has shaped their biology over millions of years.
Wow, that's fascinating.
It is, isn't it?
So speaking of survival, this video points out that humans can't go more than 3 or 4 days without water.
Yeah, it's pretty essential stuff.
Pretty scary thought, right?
Yeah, we rely on water for so many things.
It's true.
Temperature regulation, transporting nutrients, getting rid of waste.
Uh-huh.
But did you know that water is also essential for the electrical signals in our brains?
Really? I had no idea.
Yeah, that's true. Dehydration can actually impair brain function.
Wow. So our physical and mental states are both tied to water.
Absolutely.
It's incredible how everything's connected.
It is.
And speaking of percentages, I love how this video throws out some interesting facts, like 83% of our blood is water
Oh, yeah.
and 75% of our brains.
Each of those percentages, they tell a story about how our bodies work.
Okay, tell me more.
Like the high water content in blood that allows it to efficiently transport oxygen and nutrients.
Right.
Without enough water, everything would slow down and our cells wouldn't function properly.
It's amazing how such a simple substance can be so vital.
It really is.
And then, the video shifts gears and starts talking about water in our everyday lives, like
All right.
doing the dishes, taking a shower, all that stuff.
Mundane things, right?
Yeah, but it got me thinking, we don't really appreciate clean water as much as we should.
That's so true, especially in developed countries.
Right.
We take it for granted, but access to clean water for sanitation and hygiene is a fundamental part of public health.
Absolutely.
In many parts of the world, lack of clean water is a major cause of disease and health problems.
Yeah, that's a really important point.
It is. It's something we need to be more aware of.
So we've talked about water in our bodies and our homes, but we can't forget about all the other ways we use water.
Right.
Agriculture, transportation, industry, energy production.
So many uses.
It's everywhere.
It is. And let's talk about agriculture for a second.
Okay.
It's the biggest consumer of fresh water globally.
Wow, I didn't know that.
And there's this concept called virtual water. Have you heard of that?
No, what's that?
It's basically the amount of water that's used to produce something.
Oh, okay.
So, think about the grain that's used to feed livestock.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a lot of water to grow that grain.
Right.
So even if you're not drinking the water directly, your food choices still have a big impact on water resources.
That's mind-blowing. It really makes you think about the bigger picture.
It does, doesn't it?
And finally, This video wraps up by reminding us about the importance of the water cycle for ecosystems and climate regulation. It's like the circulatory system of our planet.
Exactly.
But it's facing a lot of threats these days, especially with climate change.
Yeah, we're seeing changes in precipitation patterns, more droughts, more floods, and all of that has a huge impact on ecosystems and human societies.
It's scary to think about.
It is, but it's also a call to action.
You're right, we need to be more conscious of our water use.
Absolutely.
Wow, I gotta say, this deep dive has been eye-opening.
Me too.
I mean, who knew that a simple educational video could spark such a wide-ranging conversation?
It's amazing what you can learn when you take a closer look at something.
So true.
It makes me think, knowing how crucial water is for everything on this planet, how can we develop a more sustainable relationship with it?
That's a big question.
It is, but it's one we need to answer if we want to ensure that there's enough water for both human needs and the health of our planet.
That's a powerful thought to leave our listeners with.
It's something we all need to be thinking about.
Well, thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive.
It was my pleasure.
And to everyone listening, keep exploring, stay curious, and we'll see you next time.
All right, everyone.
Bye.
Expert speaker.